What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Lincoln, directed by Steven Spielberg. Lincoln tells the story of the last 4 months of Abraham Lincoln's presidency as he fights to pass the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery. All right, so I'm just going to give my quick thoughts on Lincoln. I overall thought that Lincoln is a really good film. This movie is backed by a powerhouse performance by Daniel Day-Lewis, who completely disappears into the role of Abraham Lincoln. Like, when watching this movie, you can feel that Daniel Day-Lewis was somehow possessed by the spirit of Abraham Lincoln, because the transformation is remarkable and his acting is impeccable. Like, Lewis is beautiful in every single scene that he's in from an acting standpoint, of course. So yes, Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln, no complaints. The man was absolutely fantastic in the role. Captures the spirit and the embodiment of who Abraham Lincoln was. He's also backed by a really good and strong supporting cast that includes Sally Field, who played Mary Todd, who I thought was really good in her role. I thought Sally Field had a lot of really good moments to herself as well. Tommy Lee Jones plays Thaddeus Stevens, a opponent of abolishing slavery. I thought Tommy Lee Jones was actually really good in his role as well. And this movie is also backed by a very stellar supporting cast that includes Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tim Blake Nelson, John Hawkes, Jackie Earl Haley, and James Spader, who I thought were good in their roles as well, though I think, to me, they were kind of underutilized in a way. I do think that they were kind of underutilized in a way, especially Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robert Lincoln, who is Lincoln's older son. I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more scenes between Lincoln and his son, since Robert wants to join the Civil War and Lincoln is opposed to that idea. I mean, I would like to have seen more of a little bit of a heated debate between those two instead of the peppered scenes that we ended up getting. I think that would have made some more interesting stuff, because I think Lewis and Levitt, they're having some good chemistry on screen together, but I think a few more scenes fleshing their relationship out, to me, would have been more satisfying. John Hawkes, Tim Blake Nelson, and James Spader, they play these three lobbyists, and a lot of the movie's humor comes from these three characters, particularly that of James Spader, who I found to be really, really funny in this movie. And and I'm going to go on a limb and say James Spader is actually, his scenes are pretty much my favorite parts of this movie. Mainly because I just thought he was really, really funny. And of course, this movie also has actors like David Strahan, Hal Holbrook, Lee Pace, Michael Stahlberg, and they all play their roles perfectly fine as well. So, from an overall casting standpoint, the movie is beautifully acted. Everyone plays their roles to precision. From a production standpoint, this movie is gorgeous. Steven Spielberg and his cinematographer Janos Kaminski did a fantastic job at recreating the 1800s and the generation that Lincoln was a part of during his time. The sets look immaculate. The wardrobe and costume designs look of the period. They went to excruciating detail to recreate the 1860s and Lincoln's era, and it's done to absolute precision and perfection, to me at least. I thought the handling of the historical events were really well done and paid a lot of respect to those events and what transpired. I got to tip my hat to Spielberg for that. Lincoln wrestling with the fact of the pros and cons of the 13th Amendment is where a lot of the film's drama comes from, and I thought Daniel Day-Lewis was immaculate in those scenes, particularly this one scene where he gives a powerhouse Oscar-worthy performance. Like, it's near the end of the movie. It kind of comes at like the 1 hour and 45-minute mark. Like, you'll know when you see it, where he's giving his cabinet this empowering speech. Like, that's pretty much Daniel Day-Lewis's Oscar bait moment of a scene. I mean, it's a great scene. Don't get me wrong, but that's the scene you gotta watch out for. So yeah, that was fantastic to itself as well. Production design of this movie is fantastic. The acting, like I said, is top notch, and Steven Spielberg's direction is impeccable. So yeah, this movie has a lot of good things going for it. Now let me get to my negatives, which there are a few. I think Lincoln is a movie that is also, to me, kind of a missed opportunity. Now, I'm all for. I don't mind the fact that Spielberg decided to use the last 4 months of Lincoln's presidency. However, I would have taken the time to actually make this into an epic biopic about the man, because there is more to Lincoln than just him abolishing slavery Emancipation Proclamation. Like, this man had a very storied history and a very storied life. We get bits and pieces of that life told to us through dialogue, but I think this should have been a grand epic that covers Lincoln's early years all the way to the final moments of his life before he gets assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. I think Spielberg missed out on the opportunity to really do a true biopic epic about the life and times of Abraham Lincoln. I think this it would have made the movie, to me, it would have made the movie maybe a little bit more interesting, because I am more fascinated to learn about Lincoln's early life than I am to know about his presidency. That's just me personally. Not only that, this movie is not overly exciting and it's very politically heavy. So if you're someone who is into politics and the whole background of politics, this movie is for you. It's not really for me because I really don't follow politics as a whole. So a lot of those scenes where they're doing debating, some of them can be really, really entertaining, and then some of them can just drag on and be a bore. And it doesn't help that this movie it's 2.5 hours long, and as it really starts to get going and around the 50-minute mark, you really start to feel that runtime. And there are moments where, to me, Spielberg seems to be dragging his feet just to extend the runtime. I think if this movie we would have cut down maybe 20 minutes, it would have had a much better pace and a much better flow, because there are really certain scenes that you could have just cut down and you wouldn't really have lost anything. That's just me personally. That's what I would have done. But as a whole, I do recommend Lincoln. I think it is a really good movie. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely a beautiful piece of movie with brilliant acting from a very all-star, star-studded cast. And as a final grade, Lincoln, to me, gets a solid 8 out of 10. I highly recommend this movie if you have not seen it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Lincoln. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.